Welcome to the SteelersFix Podcast. In this episode, we'll talk about the coordinators and what they had to say this week. Then we'll roll into a full Packers-Steelers game preview and finish with our official game prediction for Sunday Night Football. Let's start with offensive coordinator Arthur Smith because every time he talks, you can feel the temperature of this offense. He's calm but demanding, detailed but passionate, and this week he spent a good chunk of time talking about the guy everyone in Pittsburgh can't stop talking about, Aaron Rodgers. Smith said, "Every day at practice, his approach to the job is why he's played at this level for 21 years, which is almost mathematically impossible." You talk about an outlier. Think about that for a second. 21 years in the NFL, taking hits from the best defenses in the world, and he's still out there throwing lasers in October practices like it's the Super Bowl. That's not normal. That's greatness disguised as routine. Rodgers walks into that building with a purpose, and Arthur Smith sees it daily. He said it changes the energy of everyone in the room. The receivers stand a little taller, the linemen lock in faster, even the rookies are scribbling notes trying to keep up. Smith loves that the offense has so many ways to attack. He said, "We've got a lot of guys with different skill sets," and he's right. Jaylen Warren brings that burst and patience that makes zone runs pop. DK Metcalf gives Rodgers that safety blanket, the physical freak who wins contested balls, drags corners down the sideline, and sets the tone with every stiff arm. Calvin Austin's pure speed stretches defenses horizontally. Roman Wilson, the rookie, just keeps finding soft spots and moving chains. And then there's Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith, and Darnell Washington. 3 tight ends who can all block, catch, and bully linebackers in space. Smith said he likes where they're heading, but refuses to let complacency creep in. "We want to be playing our best ball by the time the playoffs come around." That's the mantra this group has adopted. Nobody's satisfied with highlight drives. They want complete games, clean operation, sustained rhythm, fewer penalties, and killer instinct in the red zone. The most interesting detail from Smith's presser came when he addressed that infamous flea flicker from last week, the one that looked like it came from a different playbook. Smith smiled and explained that it was a package play, an alert built into the call. Rodgers checked into it based on the look, but there was a miscommunication with Warren. "It happens," Smith said, "and we'll fix it." What stood out wasn't frustration, it was ownership. He didn't blame the players, he liked the aggressiveness. He wants the defense to know Pittsburgh will keep that type of play ready at any moment. Then Smith shifted to Will Howard, the rookie quarterback. Around the facility, they call him Coach Will, because while he's been rehabbing on IR, he's been sitting in the back of meetings with a notebook full of observations, helping coaches with film breakdowns, learning protections, identifying blitz cues, basically acting like an assistant coach. Smith said, "It's like having another quality control coach, but now he's back to being a player." You could hear the pride in his voice. That's the Steelers way, guys investing in the process before they ever step on the field. Howard's development matters long-term, but right now it's about him soaking up Rodgers' habits. You see Rodgers finish practice and go straight to Howard, showing him small things. Foot placement on a rollout, eye manipulation on a safety, tempo and cadence. Rodgers has become this blend of mentor and surgeon, teaching in real time, and Smith knows that's invaluable. When Smith talks about Rodgers, you can tell it's not about nostalgia, it's about execution. He said, every day, his approach to the job is why he's still playing at this level. That's what defines this team. It's not flash, it's focus. And Smith's entire scheme is designed to maximize that focus. The quick game, the condensed sets, the heavy motion, everything is about keeping Rodgers in rhythm, keeping defenses off balance, and letting the offensive line build confidence. Speaking of that line, they've been quietly one of the most improved units in the league the last 2 weeks. 0 sacks in back-to-back games. Broderick Jones has been a wall on the blind side, and Troy Fautanu is growing into a mean finisher on the right. Inside, Isaac Sumalo and Mason McCormick. Bring veteran nastiness, while rookie Zach Frazier has been the heartbeat at center, even while banged up. Smith said Frazier's toughness sets a tone, and he's hopeful the kid can push through for Sunday night. The stat that tells the story, Rodgers' average time to throw is 2.45 seconds, second fastest in the NFL. That's not luck, that's discipline. Smith and Rodgers are designing plays that hit fast and punish blitzes. The screen game's sharper, the motions are cleaner, and even the checkdowns have purpose. Warren's become a nightmare for linebackers who try to cover him in space, averaging over 6 yards per reception out of the backfield. And let's not forget DK Metcalf. He's sitting on 22 catches for 406 yards and 4 touchdowns, leading the NFL at 18.5 yards per reception. That chemistry with Rodgers is real. Smith said Rodgers trusts him completely. He'll throw it even when DK looks covered, because he knows the man-child's going to muscle the defender and make a play. That kind of trust changes a play caller's mindset. It opens up the whole field. Calvin Austin's becoming the gadget piece they envisioned: jet motions, orbit sweeps, deep crossers. Roman Wilson's growth is sneaky good. He's learning how to sit in zones and block on the edge, little veteran traits you rarely see from a rookie. The tight ends give Smith his favorite chessboard: Freiermuth on choice routes, Jonnu Smith on counters and motion screens, and Darnell Washington as that sixth lineman who can leak out and punish a linebacker downfield. Smith said it's not about trick plays, it's about rhythm and identity. He wants opponents to feel physicality early, speed in the middle, and precision late. It's a blend, like old-school smash-mouth meeting modern timing concepts. He joked that Rodgers runs meetings like a professor, stopping film to quiz receivers on their landmarks. Nobody wants to be the guy who doesn't know the answer. The offense's energy has shifted. 2 months ago, they were searching for rhythm. Now you can feel confidence building. They've put up efficient drives, they're converting third downs, and the locker room believes they can score on anyone. Smith said his job now is to protect that growth, to keep pushing without burning guys out. He said, "The difference between being good and being great is sustaining it when everyone's tired." This week is emotional for Rodgers. Smith didn't say much about the Green Bay connection, but you know it's personal. The Packers haven't beaten Pittsburgh on the road since 1970, and now their former franchise legend walks into Acrisure in black and gold. Smith said his message was simple: respect the moment, but don't make it bigger than it is. Stay in rhythm, play fast, protect the ball. You can almost feel how much this means to the offense. Rodgers has been locked in all week. Teammates said he's quieter, more focused, processing everything like he's already playing the game in his head. Arthur Smith said that's when you know Rodgers is dialed in, when he's talking less and seeing more. The offense knows what's at stake. A win here cements momentum heading into the heart of the season. They've cleaned up turnovers, the playbook's expanding, and Arthur Smith's voice is resonating. He said the biggest key Sunday is communication, crowd noise, cadence discipline, and staying on schedule. "We don't need to be heroes," he said. "We just need to execute." Coming up next, we flip it over to defense. Coordinator Teryl Austin explains what went wrong against Cincinnati, why stopping the run has to be priority one, and how this unit plans to tighten up before Sunday night under the lights. Stick around. This is the SteelersFix Podcast. Here we go. Welcome back to the SteelersFix Podcast. We move from offense to defense, where coordinator Teryl Austin spoke candidly about what went wrong last week and what has to get better if this team wants to play championship football. Austin didn't sugarcoat it. He said flat out that when the Steelers' defense struggles, it's because they fail to stop the run. "If you look at every game we've struggled," he said, "we've been bad against the run in all of them. It opens up so many things for other teams when you can't stop the run." That's about as honest as it gets. He pointed to the Bengals game, where Chase Brown ripped off runs of 27 and 37 yards on back-to-back drives that flipped the whole tone. The Steelers were up 10-0, had momentum, and then those chunk plays changed everything. Austin admitted that those runs even changed his play-calling mindset. He said he got too cautious because of how easily Cincinnati gashed them early. And if you know Austin, that's not his usual demeanor. He's aggressive by nature, but when teams start running at will, it forces you to hesitate. He said those breakdowns weren't about effort. They were about discipline. Guys getting out of gaps, trying to make the splash play instead of the right play. "You have to trust the guy next to you," Austin said. "If everyone just does their job, those runs don't happen." It's the same message Tomlin's been preaching for years. Do your job first, then the play will come to you. But in that Bengals game, a few players tried to freelance, and it burned them. Austin said that's been addressed, and this week's focus in practice has been about gap integrity, leverage, and tackling. He was asked about the secondary struggles, and you could tell he wasn't happy with that either. He said, "We all thought we'd be better. But I understand it's the NFL. I know these guys are pros. I know they'll bounce back." He believes in that room. Joey Porter Jr., Darius Slay, Jalen Ramsey, and the veterans like Juan Thornhill and Jabril Peppers. He said the fundamentals slipped a bit in press man coverage, guys got too grabby, or they turned their hips too early, and that's what allowed those quick hitters down the sideline. The message this week: play more technically sound, use your hands within the 5-yard window, and trust the safety help. Austin also talked about why they haven't played as much dime defense this year. Normally he loves that 6 DB look on third down, but he said Payton Wilson's coverage ability has changed things. "We've used less dime because of Wilson," he said. "He gives us coverage and size." That's huge. A rookie linebacker keeping the defense in nickel packages because he can handle tight ends and backs one-on-one. That's rare, and it speaks to how much faith Austin has in Wilson. The linebacker room in general has been one of the bright spots despite last week's letdown. Patrick Queen has been steady, Cole Holcomb is working his way back into rhythm, Malik Harrison's might be back in rotation, and Nick Herbig's speed off the edge has flashed. Austin was asked directly why Herbig didn't play more against Cincinnati, and he said, "We do have to explore getting him in there more." Sometimes that happens in the course of a game. He also disagreed with the idea that the Bengals' final drive was an obvious passing situation. Given the time left and that they only needed a field goal, we couldn't assume they'd pass, he said. You can tell Austin's balancing faith in his veterans with the need to get young talent more reps. He said Herbig's earned that chance, and they're planning some new sub-packages to rotate him in with TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith more often. That's good news because Herbig brings energy and speed that can shift momentum in a heartbeat. Watt, as always, remains the heartbeat of this defense. Austin praised him again, saying he's not just a playmaker, he's a tone setter. When Watt's motor's going, the whole defense feeds off it. He said Watt's leadership has been critical this week, pulling guys aside during film sessions, emphasizing gap fits, and even showing younger players how to set edges on zone runs. That's the kind of accountability this team needs right now. Austin was also asked about Cameron Hayward, who's been working back to full strength. He said Hayward's presence, even at less than 100%, changes the dynamic. He called him the conscience of the defense. When Cam's in the huddle, everyone listens. And even when he's not racking up stats, his ability to occupy blockers frees up Benton, Yahya, and the young guys like Derek Harmon and Logan Lee to make plays. Keanu Benton's name came up a lot. Austin said the sophomore defensive tackle's been one of the few bright spots through the ups and downs. He's got great get-off, Austin said, and when he keeps his pad level low, he's a problem. The next step for Benton, according to Austin, is finishing. He's getting penetration. Now he has to close the deal. Austin said the main thing they're working on this week is tackling and run fits. He wants to see better pursuit angles, more population to the ball, and fewer second-level breakdowns. He said, "It's not scheme, it's trust. Everyone has to handle their assignment and not try to do someone else's." When asked about the communication in the secondary, Austin said they've had some mix-ups on coverage checks and that it's been addressed in meetings. He said he expects cleaner operation this week with Thornhill and Elliott back deep. He called Deshaun Elliott the glue guy, the communicator who keeps everyone aligned. That's critical when you're facing a young quarterback like Jordan Love, who's good at using motion to identify coverages. Austin also talked about situational awareness. The Bengals hit them with quick screens and tempo, and he admitted they didn't handle the pace well. This week's practices have been faster, more chaotic, intentionally designed to stress communication. We're putting them in uncomfortable situations, Austin said, so that Sunday night feels slow. The tone in his voice said it all. He's not panicking, but he's not happy either. This defense has too much talent to give up 30 points in back-to-back games, and they know it. Austin said the players were angry watching the tape. Guys were holding each other accountable, not in a toxic way, but in that brotherhood way where you look a teammate in the eye and say, "That can't happen again." He said the key against Green Bay is gap control and first down success. "If we stop the run early, we can dictate the rest," he said. When teams get 2nd and 3 or 2nd and 4, it opens up everything. Play action, boots, screens. Austin wants to take that away and make Jordan Love beat them straight up. And that's where the edge rushers come in. He said Highsmith and Watt need to finish plays. They've both had pressures without sacks lately, and Austin said they've emphasized finishing through the quarterback. He wants constant harassment, hands in passing lanes, and discipline against the bootlegs that Green Bay loves to run. He also mentioned Payton Wilson's speed as an asset this week against the Packers' screen game. He said Wilson's range changes what he can call. They can stay in nickel and not get burned underneath. That's a rare luxury, and Austin said it's part of why he's playing fewer dime snaps this year. Asked about the overall mindset of the defense heading into Acrisure, Austin smiled and said, "We've been punched in the mouth before, and we've always responded." He reminded everyone that this unit has veterans who've been through wars: Watt, Hayward, Queen, Thornhill, and they know how to fix mistakes. It's about details, he said. You can't talk your way out of it. You fix it on the field. The message is clear. Stop the run, play sound, and trust the standard. That's been Tomlin's echoing theme all week too. The defense knows it can't let Rodgers' homecoming turn into a shootout. They need to set the tone early, tackle clean, communicate, and make Green Bay uncomfortable from the jump. Austin said the focus in Friday's walkthrough will be on first drive execution. We can't start slow, he said. That's been the issue a few times this season, giving up early momentum, then spending the rest of the game chasing it. They want to flip that script. He ended his media session by saying, "We all thought we'd be better. But we know what we are. We've got the guys to fix it." That's confidence without arrogance. Austin's been in this league long enough to know one bad game doesn't define a defense. How you respond does. Coming up next, we'll close it out with the full Packers-Steelers game preview and my official prediction. We'll break down the key matchups, what Rodgers has to exploit, and what the defense has to do to get back to the standard. Stick around. This is the SteelersFix Podcast. Here we go. Welcome back to the SteelersFix Podcast. Time to close this one out with the full Packers-Steelers game preview and our official prediction for Sunday Night Football under the lights at Acrisure Stadium. This matchup is loaded with storylines. The Packers trying to prove they belong in the NFC conversation, and the Steelers looking to bounce back after a frustrating loss to Cincinnati. Both teams are 4-2, both have playoff aspirations, and both know this game is a statement about identity. Let's start with Pittsburgh's offense against Green Bay's defense. The Packers' pass rush has been feast or famine this year. Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons have combined for 10 sacks, and when they heat up, they can wreck a drive. But they've also given up big plays. Third and long conversions, busted coverages, and tight ends sneaking free down the seams. That's exactly where the Steelers can attack. Rodgers is coming off his best performance of the season. 4 touchdown passes, 0 sacks, and a passer rating north of 130. His chemistry with DK Metcalf is peaking. Expect Arthur Smith to lean on quick game throws early. Slants, hitches, and RPOs designed to neutralize Gary's rush. If Rodgers gets into rhythm, the Packers' secondary could be in trouble. Their corners have talent but take risks, and Rodgers loves punishing aggression. The tight end trio will be the X factor. Green Bay has struggled all year covering tight ends. They gave up 2 scores to Trey McBride last week, so look for Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith to work the middle. Rodgers knows those matchups cold. He's been dissecting Joe Barry-style defenses since before Jordan Love was in college. On the ground, Jaylen Warren needs to stay hot. He's coming off 127 yards on 16 carries, and while the Packers rank second in run defense, they've been gashed by backs who bounce runs outside. Warren's vision and burst give Pittsburgh that outlet when the pass rush gets too aggressive. Expect a steady diet of inside zone early, then wide zone, and draws once Green Bay starts pinning their ears back. The offensive line's challenge will be crowd noise. Acrisure on a Sunday night is chaos, and silent counts can mess with timing. Smith said communication is the emphasis. Expect Rodgers to keep cadence short and use motion to tip coverage instead of hard counts. If the Steelers avoid false starts, they'll move the ball. Now flip it. Packers offense versus Steelers defense. Green Bay's quarterback, Jordan Love, has been efficient but conservative. 10 touchdowns, only 3 turnovers. He's shown poise but still struggles when pressure comes from interior gaps. That's where Benton, Hayward, and Harmon need to show up. Austin said the key is stopping the run early. The Packers rank 15th in rushing yards per game, leaning on Josh Jacobs, who's finding form after a calf injury. Jacobs is tough, but the Steelers' front has to tackle better. You can't let 4-yard runs become 20. Expect Teryl Austin to mix fronts, some 3-4, some nickel looks, and blitz Queen or Wilson up the middle to rattle Love. When Love gets hit early, his footwork gets sloppy. If Watt or Highsmith can collapse the pocket, turnovers will come. The Packers use a lot of motion to disguise quick throws. Communication on the back end will be huge. With Elliott and Thornhill both healthy, expect more too-high shells to bait Love into checkdowns. The key individual matchup, TJ Watt versus right tackle Zach Tom. Tom's had a solid season, but Watt's bend and counter moves are elite. Austin said the emphasis this week is finishing plays, and Watt heard that loud and clear. Don't be surprised if he gets a sack early and forces a fumble. Highsmith's speed off the opposite edge could also create havoc. The Packers love rollouts and bootlegs. Discipline on contain will matter. Special teams could swing it too. Green Bay's kicker situation is messy. Brandon McManus nursing a calf, Lucas Havrisik filling in but untested in Acrisure pressure. Boswell, meanwhile, has been money, 10 for 12 with a 60-yarder. In cold conditions, that reliability matters. Corliss Waitman versus Daniel Whelan in the punting game leans Green Bay slightly, but field position will be determined by coverage units. Kenneth Gainwell's kickoff return average near 27 yards gives the Steelers a spark. One big return could flip momentum. So what's the path to victory? For Pittsburgh, it's complementary football. Protect Rodgers, win first down on defense, and don't let their energy dictate tempo. Arthur Smith's offense needs long drives to keep Watt fresh. Defensively, they have to earn the right to rush the passer by shutting down Jacobs early. If they do that, they can unleash the Wolves. For Green Bay, it's about forcing turnovers and turning this into a track meet. They haven't faced a quarterback like Rodgers since he left, and the emotion in that building could cut both ways. If they let him settle in, it's over. The Packers have to make it ugly, force Pittsburgh into 3rd and long, and test that O-line with stunts. When you zoom out, the vibe feels like one of those classic Steelers primetime grinders. You can picture it: cold night, breath in the air, Acrisure crowd buzzing, and number 8 jogging out in black and gold to a mix of cheers and boos. The cameras will eat it up. Rodgers has done this before: big stages, hostile crowds, drama everywhere. But now he's doing it for Pittsburgh, a franchise that lives for nights like this. Expect the first quarter to be chess. Smith will test matchups, Austin will feel out Love's cadence, and both sides will try to land the first punch. But the difference could be Rodgers' experience. He's seen every coverage, every disguise, every blitz look. He'll use tempo, draw free plays, and punish over aggression. The Packers' secondary has shown cracks. If they give Rodgers a window, he'll hit it. Prediction time. I see this being a gritty, emotional battle that stays close for 3 quarters. Both defenses will trade stops early, field goals back and forth, maybe a turnover each way. But in the 4th quarter, Rodgers will do what he's done for 2 decades: control the clock and finish. I'm calling it Steelers 27, Packers 20. Rodgers throws 3 touchdowns, 1 to Metcalf, 1 to Freiermuth, and 1 to Calvin Austin, and Boswell nails a long field goal late to seal it. Watt adds 2 sacks, Payton Wilson forces a fumble, and the defense holds Green Bay to a single touchdown in the second half. This game becomes another step in the Steelers' identity. The offense keeps building chemistry, the defense regains confidence, and Pittsburgh walks into the bye positioned to make a real playoff run. That's your Coordinator Thursday breakdown and game preview. Make sure you're subscribed to Steelers Fix on YouTube, Threads, X, and wherever you get your podcasts. Check out the full article version on SteelersFix.com and stay tuned for post-game reactions right after Sunday Night Football. Until next time, this is the Steelers Fix Podcast signing off. Here we go.